Alright, so now we're going to talk about recommendations and FERPA. I'm also going to talk about some important details when it comes to choosing who's writing your recommendation letters. So before we show you how to assign a recommender on the Common App, I'm going to talk about those important factors. The recommendation letter should come from a teacher that knows you exceptionally well. The point of it is to portray who you are as a student and beyond. What would you be like on the Harvard or Stanford or Yale campus? If your teacher doesn't think you're an exceptional student in school, do not choose them to write you a recommendation letter. Loads of people on the internet tell you to give them these things called brag sheets, which is a list of everything that you've done and get them to include it in a letter. But I actually don't think that's the best thing to do. This is not my advice. It's off someone called Mike, who is on TikTok. He's a former Stanford admissions officer, and he said you should provide them with a cover letter detailing the 3 most important things you've done as a student and get them to highlight that. That could be exceptional grades, something like this, the Sam Ellis Academy, for example. They should back up what you write in the activities section, and they should make sure you come across as an exceptional student. We're going to talk about what FERPA is as well. It asks you if you want to waive your FERPA rights. The answer is yes. FERPA gives you the right to review what a teacher has said about you before it gets sent to the admissions office. You want to waive that right because if you keep your rights and you want to be allowed to see the letter, then you're worried that they've written something bad, and also it loses all the integrity. You could have told them to write what is written there. We're now going to jump into the computer and we're going to show you how to assign a recommender. Okay, so here we are on the recommenders and FERPA section. The FERPA release authorization for me has already been done, but when it asks you, should you authorize the release, you've got to say yes. You're going to need to invite, for most universities, 2 teachers. You're also going to need to invite the counsellor, which in the UK is the head of sixth form. When you're inviting them, you're going to select the email, the subject they teach, the first and last name, and then obviously select yes, you do want them to complete an evaluation for this university. They're going to get an email to set up a Common App account, but do not worry, I've made a complete other set of videos for the teachers. When you're discussing the possibility of applying with the head of sixth form in your school, tell them that there's a guide for them as well. And then underneath, we can see we've got other recommenders. Other recommenders can be, like it says, peers, family members, employers, and they could just provide a slightly different view and some slightly different insight to the qualities that you possess that your teachers may not be able to. This button that says Enable Preview, you can select it if you want, but it just lets the counsellor of your school see your application and the progress that you're making. That's everything on the FERPA release and inviting recommenders. We're nearly there now, to be honest. We've walked through practically everything you need to know. The next video is about applying to MIT because it's completely different. They've got their own website. It's not completely different. It's just not on the Common App. It's very similar questions. And then we're going to conclude with places that you can revise for the SAT. And then in the final video, I'm going to talk about where you can get some of the best advice for writing in the Common App essay sections. As I said to you, I'm not able to give you that advice because I'm not an exceptional writer and I've never been an admissions officer.